Welcome to the Yankee and Canuck podcast, Best Picture Series, where we talk about all the Academy Award Best Pictures, past to present.
And I'm your host, a Yankee.
And I'm your host, a Canuck.
And today we're going to be talking about The Godfather, 1972 film. This is the 45th movie to win Best Picture, considered to be one of, if not the greatest movie of all time. This movie's got a lot of different classic lines in it, so many different. One of the ones is, "I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse," said by Marlon Brando as Don Vito Corleone. It is number 2 out of 100 in AFI's greatest movie lines of all time. So, yeah, there's a lot to talk about with this film in particular, but first, a few facts about the ceremony. So, in this one, Marlon Brando refused his Best Oscar statue. Essentially, what happened was he was protesting Native Americans' treatment in TV and film. Didn't like their depiction, too stereotypical. So instead of going in person to refuse it, he sent this person called Sachin Littlefeather to go in and make a speech saying, "Thank you for this, but he don't want this, so see ya." Apparently, she was supposed to say like a much longer speech, but then the Academy was like, "You got 60 seconds. After that, you got to get the hell off the stage," basically.
Yeah, I've seen the video of it on YouTube a long time ago. So.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, they boo her. So there's some cheers and applause, but there's some boos. And it's just thoroughly humiliating for her. Essentially, she did her thing, and then she was ushered off stage. Apparently, John Wayne was somehow got backstage, and he had to be held back by a bunch of security people because he was going to go out there and drag her out, probably beat her up too. I don't know. This draft dodging son of a bitch was crazy. So
got nothing better to do.
Yeah, nothing at all. No.
John Wayne.
I'm gonna get me. He thought he was in a cowboy picture, I guess, for that second. Exactly, I'm gonna wrangle me that Indian.
Oh, man.
But
I never was a fan of John Wayne, to be honest. I never liked his films. I never was a big fan.
There's some people that really like John Wayne films. I'm more of a Clint Eastwood guy.
Yeah, honestly. Me too. Yeah, Clint Eastwood. Yeah.
He's more badass than that guy, but whatever. I mean, I've seen a couple of John Wayne films, like True Grit. He's pretty good in that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. That's actually a good movie.
Also, another thing about Sachin Littlefeather, this lady wasn't even Native American, apparently. So
I think I remember reading that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, she was like a mix of German and Mexican ancestry, something like that.
Yeah, I remember reading something like that. Her sisters said that, no, we're not even Native, and because she was claiming she was Apache or whatever. But
yeah,
I mean, she's still an activist. I think it's great when people find out about their ancestry, and especially when like natives obviously were forced to become something else, which is extremely sad. So I think it's great to find out that stuff. But when you don't have any evidence and you're just making it up and then putting yourself in a position, of leadership or as a representative, I mean, that's pretty messed up.
Yeah, that's pretty sus. I
mean, don't lie about who you are. Come on.
Yeah, I know. But it's I don't know what's more egregious, that or the fact that Marlon Brando didn't have the balls to go on stage and refuse it himself. Or at the very least, if he didn't want to speak, he should have been there on stage with her. I'm sorry, that's just kind of a bitch move. Be like, "I don't want the award, but I don't want to refuse it. You go out there and dress as an Indian or something and refuse it on my behalf." I'm like, come on, bro. Yeah. What's up with that?
I mean, I guess it's fair. If you're trying to make a statement, you should be the one to make the statement, right?
100%.
So
100%.
He could have even done like if he didn't want to physically be there, like, I don't know, send it in a video or something on the screen. They can put it up.
Yeah, they could. Well, they could. I don't know how feasible that would have been in 1972, then, or a voice recording.
Yeah.
I just want to say the Academy, go f*** yourselves. I don't want this fucking award. I already won an Oscar, so I don't need another one. But anyway, as a matter of fact, I had like a little exhibit in the Academy of her in particular, and one of her sisters asked the Academy to remove it because they had something about her being a Native American and stuff. She's like, don't put that stuff in there. All that stuff's not real.
Yeah.
But Littlefeather, whatever her name actually was, I think her last name was Cruz or something. She passed away as of this recording about 4 years ago. So yeah. Yeah, but anyway, I mean, what else happened in this Academy Awards? Charlie Chaplin won Best Score or Best Music, along with Raymond Rash and Larry Russell for the movie Limelight. As this one's kind of weird because this movie actually came out 20 years prior, and the only reason it was nominated and eventually won, one is because, like, around that time when it first came out, it didn't get a proper LA screening, and that's a prerequisite in order to get nominated for anything. And that's because during that time, Charlie Chaplin was accused as a communist. There was like a McCarthyism was happening during that time.
Pinko.
Yeah, exactly. So
Get off the stage, you damn pinko.
I know. But all that crap went away, obviously. So when that happened, they got a proper release. And as a result, they got nominated. The reason why they won, though, was because Nino Rota's score for The Godfather, it was originally nominated, but it was taken off the nomination list shortly before, they did this ceremony. And that's because he reappropriated some of the music on an Italian film called Fortunella. So it's kind of similar sounding. There's some notes that are similar, but it's a wholly different score, honestly. But because of that, the Academy at the time were like, yeah, this is plagiarism. This doesn't count. So it was taken off and Limelight won. So the assumption is that the Godfather score could have won this award season 2 had that not happened.
Yeah. So, it wasn't like full plagiarism, but it was
some notes were similar.
With it.
If you listen to the two, you could see the similarities.
There's no doubt that he readapted and reused some of it.
But it's not a big deal. I mean, he effectively remade the music, but whatever. I mean,
it's not like he pulled a Led Zeppelin or something,
yeah, exactly. So
I love Led Zeppelin too, but
so do I. So
come on, it's a lot of plagiarism.
I mean, if we're talking about music, blues artists stole from each other all the time. But whatever.
True. Yes.
It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, those are the most notable things about the Academy Awards ceremony. And as usual, if there's a source material, I'm going to deep dive into it. So this thing was based off a 446-page book by Mario Puzo. Came out in 1969. Yeah, my boy Puzo. Yeah, so this book, it's a pretty massive book. And I remember telling you prior to us doing this recording like some time ago, because I was already reading it. I read the first paragraph and I was like, this book is going to be really good. I could tell.
Yeah.
Nothing remarkable about the first paragraph or anything. It wasn't like, oh, it starts with a literal bang or something like that. It's just more like the way it was written, the prose. I was like, it was kind of hand holding me to a journey. You know what I mean? You could tell a really good book eases you into it.
Yeah.
Like doesn't try to like impress you with all these facts and look how awesome these characters are. It just simply is. It just feels authentic. You know what I mean? And when Puzo wrote this book, I believe this was the 4th or 5th book he had already written. Like he wrote like a kid's book. He wrote 2 novels that I'm aware of. And he was already like a pulp magazine writer. He wrote like a bunch of smutty fiction, sex and all that stuff, He was just that kind of guy, but he really, really wanted to get something going. So Godfather to him was a means to an end in terms of making a living as a writer.
Like pay off his gambling debts.
That as well, too. So, and we also have a bunch of Godfather trivia videos on the channel, so please check those out.
Check those shorts out. They're pretty damn good.
Hell yeah. So, about the book, how is it overall? I mean, it did impress me in the first paragraph, and I flipped through a few pages, and I was like, all right, this is not bad, I guess. By the time I got to the end of the book, I went through so many different feelings while reading this book. And I have not felt this way reading a book since Gone with the Wind. As a matter of fact, dare I say, this is one of the very best books I have ever read. And I would have to say, in this series, having consumed all kinds of different source material of all kinds of different Best Picture winners, Gone with the Wind, I'm sorry, I'm going to peg you down. This is the best Picture winner source material I have ever read. It's an incredible book. It never falters. It doesn't get boring. Even if it goes on side tangents and side stories of all the lesser known characters like Sonny's little affair. There's a person the Sonny Corleone has an affair with, Lucy Mancini. She has a whole story arc in the book that's not even in the final movie. There's also more detail on the character Johnny Fontaine, who's based on the Frank Sinatra in real life.
Correct, yeah.
And all that stuff. Every character has a rich backstory, and it's so good. This is worth reading. Highly recommended. As a matter of fact, the final movie takes a lot from the book, obviously, but it's very, very faithful to the source material. To a point where even the side stories, as much as I love them, they weren't necessary. Like when they were adapting the source material, they knew what to leave in the final film and they knew what to take out. If you guys want the full picture, obviously read the book. You're going to really see certain things in the film and you're going to be like, yes, I remember that part,
Yeah.
So yeah,
I can imagine it's. I've actually never read it. It's obviously I love this movie. It's one of my favorites, but I've never actually read the novel. I think it was like the bestseller for like 100 weeks or something.
Yeah,
Something
for
crazy.
if it was 60 weeks or something like that. Yeah. Like it
It
was
was immensely popular, and obviously Paramount was like, "Yep, let's get this," and
let's make some money off
obviously
of it.
then make some money off of it. And it was called Mafia, right? They changed it from Puzo changed the title, right?
Yeah,
From Mafia
it
to
was just a
Godfather.
working title, but yeah, Mafia was what he was kicking around, but eventually he decided to do Godfather. And his publisher was like, "What the hell, Godfather? How the hell is anyone going to know this is about a mobster family or whatever?" Of course, it's like there's no way for them to actually know in hindsight that that was a
Yeah,
way better title than Mafia, but it is what it is.
I'm assuming they find out on page one, right? So.
Not written. No, it takes a few pages,
No,
but
okay. The movie you find out in the first minute, you get it.
yeah, we'll get into the
Uh,
movie for sure,
yeah.
and I'll do comparisons in the book as we go on. On top of the original source material, I also read Leave the Gun, Take the Cannoli by Mark
Yes.
Seal. So that's
Yep.
a really good behind the scenes book about the Godfather production. I'm just going to say that's highly recommended also if you're a big fan of the movie and the book.
Yeah.
And on top of that, a number of years ago, I saw The Offer 2022 miniseries, which is based on Leave the Gun, Take the Cannoli. And to me, it's an incredible miniseries. I thought it was really, really good. I believe you saw it as well.
I did actually. I just watched it recently for the first time, and so Yankee recommended it to me, and I'd heard of it, and I like The Godfather a lot, obviously, and so, but I was like, I'd rather, I prefer documentaries and things like that. Mark Seal's book would be great. So this, I was like, I don't know, this is like a, actors playing actors and actors playing producers, and I don't know, I was a little found it a little sus, and I was like, this might not be for me, right? So, but I
Yeah.
watched it, and it's actually pretty good. I did enjoy it. Um, I'm pretty sure half of it is made up. There's definitely a lot of it is not true. I know for a fact a lot of it's not true, but they gotta take liberties. It's a Hollywood production. I mean, they gotta. But they did take a lot of the stuff that is well known about it, and there's probably a lot of stuff from Mark Seal's book in there, and some things that maybe people don't know about. Maybe producers knew about or something. And so there's some cool stuff like that, and it's a good show. It's done well, and I did enjoy it. But
Yeah.
some of it's like, you could tell it
Iffy.
doesn't.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, I
iffy.
mean, a lot of because it is based on the book in part, because I think they coincided the release with each
Mhm.
other. But Robert Evans is one of the guys that's referenced in the book a lot. He's the one that gives a lot of the interview stuff. And apparently that guy's
Yeah,
full of crap. I mean, that's probably why the show may feel a little bit like, I don't know about that, because they take a lot of his testimony, I guess you could say. But yeah, nonetheless, I enjoyed the series. I took it for what it was. It's just like, hey,
yeah,
this is a
yeah,
really fun fairy tale depiction of how the Godfather was probably made. Mobsters were apparently involved in real life.
yeah.
And there's a lot of studio politics happening, a lot
A
of
lot.
back and
Yeah,
forth.
I can imagine a lot of people who check out The Offer or read Mark Seal's book. It could make you a bigger fan of The Godfather, and you'll have a different appreciation for The Godfather and all they had to go through and all that. And so,
Yeah,
so I think that
definitely.
is something cool to think about. It didn't change my opinion because I'm already a big Godfather fan. So, uh, but uh, but it is cool to know a lot of these facts and behind the scenes stuff.
Yep. And here's where I come in. You're a big fan. I am not. Here's the thing. When I first saw The Godfather, I've heard about The Godfather growing up. My dad loved the film. He was a huge Marlon Brando fan. He loved Al Pacino. It's just like it was one of those things where he would reference it because a lot of the things that happen in both the film and the book are kind of relevant in terms of like family dynamics. There you got the paternal figure. He's looking after his sons. He wants his sons to do better than him, of course, because he came up from nothing. It's a meritocracy story in that sense.
Correct.
So I knew about that, and obviously I've seen the parodies and the satire kind of depictions of certain scenes and whatever. I finally didn't see the film until I was in college because I heard so much about it. Saw it, and I was not impressed. I was like, really? This is the greatest film of all time? This is kind of boring. I didn't like it that much. That was my first impression, you know. My second impression of the film, I saw like about around the time when The Offer came out, because I saw The Offer and I was like, this is really good. Let me watch The Godfather again. Saw it again, and this time I didn't have those expectations as I did the first time. And I was like, you know what? This is not as bad as I thought it was, but it's still not great. You know, That was my impression at the time. It was just like, it's a
Not
little
great.
bit better, but not.
Damn.
Now, having read the original book and read all the behind the scenes source material, I'm just going to say my opinion has once again changed. But before we get into all of that, let's actually get into the actual film. So the whole thing begins with this guy, right? He goes before the Godfather on the wedding day of his daughter, right? So he's like, Godfather, you got to help me. These two guys. Yeah. I'm not going to get into the voice. I'm sorry.
please don't do that the whole time. But yeah, basically, his name's Bonacero, and he's an undertaker. And in the beginning, he's the first person you see. So this is all occurring during Connie's wedding, Don Vito's daughter's wedding. And so people are meeting Don Vito, and so Bonacero is asking for a favor.
And so Godfather listens to him, and he's like, well, you come here to ask me for a favor, but then you don't invite me to coffee. Fuck you. Essentially that's what he is.
But because he feels that Bonacero has never showed him much respect. They know each other so well. He never has him over for dinner or for coffee, and he doesn't even address him as Don. And here he is now asking for a favor, which it's a very challenging moment for him, because so Bonacero's daughter was assaulted and attacked by her boyfriend and another person, and the criminal justice system completely failed. And both these two criminals were released the same day. The sentence was suspended. And so this guy's like, this is not justice. So turns to the Don Vito for justice.
For a little extra muscle. I mean, he requests them, and you can hear him in the movie too. He's like, I want them killed. And then Corleone's like, I can't do that. And he's just like, but I need justice. And then Don is like, no, that is not justice. Your daughter's still alive. So they arrange something else to happen for the boys. And more or less it's the same thing as in the book. The book actually begins with the real trial of those two boys. That's how it actually begins. And through description, you get to see him sit there and have them dismissed. And the reason why they're dismissed is because one of the boys is the son of a politician.
Yeah.
So that's actually what happened there. So he's just like, damn. So he goes to the Godfather, asks for that favor, and they don't show it. I don't think they allude to it anymore. But in the book, you could see what happened to the boys. They get beaten to shit is what happens. So
the favor, he does call upon the favor later in the movie. He asks Bonacero to return the favor, but that's later in the movie.
Much later in the movie, yeah.
Yeah.
But what happens in the book is like, they're explicitly given instructions to be like, all right, I think it's Clemenza that does it, one of the henchmen for the Godfather. And he's just like, you got to make sure that they can't get out of the hospital within a month. Don't kill them, but beat them up really badly. And as a result, they've been hospitalized for several months, and they're mangled beyond repair and stuff. So yeah,
they deserve it.
They got what they deserved, exactly. So that's just one of the many things that the Godfather does in the film and the book. He's a very powerful guy, and he's a very scary guy, but his energy is very much like, listen, I'm not going to get angry. I'm not going to yell at you. I'm going to be reasonable with you here. I'm going to give you a chance to hear me out. But if you don't want to listen to me, well, it is what it is. I mean, you could do whatever you want. I mean, I'm afraid that you're not going to have both your legs by the time I exit this room, though. So if you like your legs, I suggest you listen to what I tell you. He's just that kind of a guy.
That presence, that calm demeanor itself and his presence is, is very powerful on its own. And there's a strategic as well, right? So
yes.
But that, people who are like that, they can be terrifying, man. In
very much. As a matter of fact, a lot of the Don, he's written based on a couple of actual gangsters. I think, I forget the gangsters at the top of my head.
Yeah, Frank Costello and Carlo Gambino and Gambino, the crime family and all that. Actually, a lot of these characters are all based off of other people, like Mo Green in Vegas. He's definitely Bugsy Siegel.
Yeah.
And actually his death is pretty much the same.
That's crazy.
So there's a lot of all these characters are kind of loosely based on of.
Yeah, but Vito Corleone, he is based on Frank Costello and Carlo Gambino, but he's mostly based on Mario Puzo's mother. Like, apparently she was a force to be reckoned with, because I think his father died pretty early on, and his mother had to raise him and his 7 or 8 other siblings. It was a huge family.
Wow.
And she was always telling the kids growing up, like, you better not do this or else this will happen. She was very domineering in that sense. And a lot of that rubbed off on him in terms of writing Vito Corleone. So, I mean, but those aren't the only references. Obviously, a lot of other things were components into this character. I
vaguely remember him mentioning something like that in The Offer. He actually brings that up at one point in The Offer.
That's based off his mommy?
He brings up his upbringing and his mom and siblings and stuff in one scene in The Offer.
Yeah.
So,
which is true.
Yeah.
Which is true according to him anyway. But, you know, it's one of those things where this film is so monumental, its impact is so heavy that it kind of mythologizes itself. So I don't know. Certain things could be true, certain things cannot be true, but we'll take it at face value for now.
Yeah.
But
well, what is true is Mario Puzo did an incredible job creating these characters in this story, and Coppola and the team brought it to life. And
yeah, I mean, honestly,
incredible.
The cast is just amazing. I mean, because it's not just, we talk a lot about the Don, but really the sons are also really good in this. We're talking about Sonny, we're talking about Fredo, and we're talking about, of course, Michael, who is effectively the main character second to the Don himself.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the characters and the performances in this film, incredible and extremely memorable. I think every single character is memorable, in my opinion. Even the capos like Tessio and Clemenza, and so I mean, I think everybody, performances are, I think, one of the key parts why this is such a classic and still revered, and the character connections, the contrast to one another, it's just next level, I think, in this movie. Seeing the interactions on the screen kind of keeps you engaged. And so,
yeah, I agree. Yeah, that was the thing that I didn't appreciate when I first saw it, because I was too concentrating on, okay, why is this the greatest film? Why is this the greatest film?
Yeah,
but expectations can really ruin a film.
Correct. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that is a problem when people say, this is the greatest movie of all time. Check it out. It's like, I mean, this is one of the greatest movies of all time, I would say, but I don't think I'm going to say it's the greatest. I definitely would. I don't think I would tell that to somebody who hasn't seen it. I'd be like, "This is a great movie. Check it out."
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows the greatest movie of all time is Star Wars, but
Star Wars. There you go.
But anyway, it's just like when you temper those expectations, you watch.
There's a connection between Star Wars and The Godfather, right? So it's interesting you mentioned that.
Oh yeah, I mean, both of those creators, or both of the guys who made those movies, lived in the same roof one time. Maybe shared a bed. I don't know.
I don't know about all that.
No, but they did work. George Lucas and Francis Ford Coppola, they did work together. They were early collaborators
together, and they had their own company, and they basically fed off each other in the sense that they worked on their movies together. Coppola produced his movies, and
yeah. So I mean, that's pretty significant in that sense. But Godfather, seeing the performances, seeing the way the story goes on, it's very expertly crafted. I'm still not a big fan with how it's shot. That's to me a problem. I'm just overall not a big fan of Francis Ford Coppola as a director. His directing style is just very much like, it's chaotic, it's all over the place, it's big and ambitious, and he's ferocious when it comes to him trying to get something captured on film. I can't take that away from him. But that enthusiasm, can be a double-edged sword in the sense of, like, you can be so much like, oh, I'm going to do this, but then the means to get there can be kind of messy. Like, he would often shout over his takes, directing people, and that's a good thing in some sense, but then you can cause people to kind of, like, not really be on their best game or the best behavior. And sometimes he defers to the actors, which, again, it's just like, sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. Like, sometimes he lets his actors do whatever he wants, and sometimes he's not reining him in like he's supposed to. And I can kind of feel that watching this film, like, this is not as tight as it needs to be. This kind of meanders where it doesn't need to be. The scene is, would have been best served if this happened or if that happened. This is, again, my opinion. I'm not like the arbiter of all things that should be in film. But I feel like, unlike other films that I really, really enjoy, like, and I can enjoy immensely from beginning to end without me complaining too much. This is just one of those things where I'm just like, you know what, this could have been better. But at the same time, the film was extremely chaotic. This film almost never happened more ways than once.
Yeah. Yeah, the
So
masterpiece that almost never was.
yeah, because honestly, you had studio politics at play. You had mafia influence on the film. You had like they almost did not shoot this in New York City because of the mob. They were thinking of shooting in other places like New Orleans, I think, or St.
Yeah,
Louis,
St. Louis. I think St. Louis was a high contender for filming.
or even the backlot of Paramount with fake ass green screen or whatever. So it's just like they didn't want to do any of that. They had to really fight for the on-set locations, not just the on-set locations. Like the studio was just like, okay, you could do the film, but I know the book's set in the 1940s to the 50s. Make it more modern day. Make it like the 70s. And they were like, no. There's something special about adapting the book as is. So that was an extra expense, but it was worth it, obviously, because had this film been contemporary to the 70s, it would have been pretty bad, I feel. Or not maybe bad, I take that back, but it wouldn't have been not as good. Like it being set in it's set in the 40s is special because
it would have lost a little bit of the magic, being in a modern time. I think definitely would have had a big impact on. Yeah, I'm glad that Coppola fought for that and to keep it in line with Puzo's novel in 40s. And
yeah, I agree. I mean, just really like that was a good thing, and also like the way the music was supposed to be done. Like I think they were going through different ideas for how the musical score should be like. I think the studio head, I think it was Robert Evans, he wanted it to be more traditional in the sense like he wanted it to sound like all the other movies at the time. But then Coppola was like, no, it's got to sound like it's an Italian movie. It's got to have Italian music. So we got an actual Italian composer who was snubbed, as we mentioned at the beginning of this, for Oscar. But, he made a very, very good soundtrack. It's appropriate and it's moving. Like obviously the opening theme with the waltz, the trumpet, that's iconic. But I think the best part of the music is the love theme. It's just so beautiful. You can never just get tired of listening to that. One of the things about this film too is that the violence is pretty brutal, and that was on purpose. Like Coppola wanted to get as far as he could in terms of how violent and visceral mob violence is. And of course, like the ratings board was very iffy on showing really graphic stuff, even though we were at the time of, Bonnie and Clyde and stuff like that. But they wanted to show, like, for instance, the famous scene where Michael comes in and he shoots Solozo and McCluskey, the police chief.
Yep. The restaurant scene.
Exactly. Like that, when they were filming that took apparently all day because it was so bloody. And the spray was everywhere, all over the sets, all over the characters, all over the actors. It took about an hour to reset the whole thing. So it was a very intense 8 to 9 hour shoot, that alone. And this was also at the point where Coppola was almost about to get fired. Pacino was about to get fired. Like the studio heads hated Pacino being in this film. But that
from
scene,
the start they were against. Yeah.
They really wanted to get them both out. But that scene convinced them, you know what? Keep him as Michael, keep the director. You guys keep doing your thing. We're not going to interfere anymore. Because the scene itself is just that good. And if you see the scene in the film up to that point, especially the lead up to that scene, it's so intense. It's so like, holy shit. Like, what the hell is going to happen? And then when it happens, it's brutal. And in such a good way, too. It's impactful.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, the restaurant scene is one of the most famous scenes in film, and what an incredible scene. I mean, God, there's just so many epic scenes in this movie. I mean, where to even begin? I mean, there are some obvious ones like the restaurant scene, and then Sonny being killed, and of course the ending scene, but not just those. I think there's a lot of scenes I like that, like the hospital scene. That's just creepy. It's all empty and dark and ominous, and then there's a lot of scenes.
Luca Brasi as well.
Yeah, yep. Sleeps with the fishes now.
Exactly. If he gets strangled, like that one was like they were really strangling him for a bit. That was another thing that took hours and hours to shoot. And when you see his eyes bulge out, that's because they were really strangling him at some parts. And I think they used the best take for that. Yeah, so that's incredible stuff. But also,
he's a tough guy. You could take it, the actor.
Well, yeah, because he was a real gangster. So I mean, his name was Montana, I believe, something Montana. But yeah. But anyway,
I mean, there's just so many great scenes like that. I mean, and there's like just the power of moments, like when you remember when Vito waves everyone out of the room, back when he's at home from the hospital, and after he finds out that Michael was the one who did the hit on Sollozzo and the police chief, and then he just kind of waves everyone out of the room. I mean,
Oh yeah.
just a great scene, powerful. Um, I think another scene, I would say another scene that people sleep on is when Tom is having that drink before telling Vito that Sonny's dead. I
Exactly.
really like that scene. It's just, um, and then, of course, we mentioned it earlier because of the beginning of the film, but when Vito asks Bonacero to return the favor and make Sonny's body, bullet-riddled body, presentable for the funeral, and then he cries out, look how they massacred my boy. And,
Look how they massacred my boy. Yeah.
I mean, just
It's a good
yeah,
scene, but the book is even better with that scene in particular because when you get back to the Undertaker and he's summoned by the Dawn to ask a favor, he's extremely scared. He's like, "Oh my God,
yeah,
do I have to hide a body? Do I have to make sure that incinerated with no traces? What if it comes back to me? I'm an accessory to murder. What can I do? Why did I go to the Godfather? I should have never gone." He's like really, really panicking. But by the time he gets the phone call and then the body is comes up to him at the end of the chapter, it's unveiled, and that whole scene in the movie plays out. And then the Don's like, "Look, they massacred my boy." It's almost line for line the same. A lot of the lines that you see in the movie or you hear in the movie are in the book. Like they did a wonderful job adapting this. It's like they
yeah,
really. I mean, obviously Mario Puzo wrote the thing, but Coppola also helped him.
yeah,
It was just more like they didn't want to reinvent the wheel. They were like, listen, let's just lift the best parts of the book and really make them as authentic on film as possible. And to
great
that,
idea.
and yeah, they did a great job. And again, if you read the book, I mean, there's further context. And when, in my case, having seen the film twice up to that point, while I was reading this, you can't help but think of the characters in the film in the book. You know, it's just
Yeah,
so beautiful that way, especially all the Dawn scenes. Amazing. You just think of nothing but Marlon Brando. You hear nothing but his voice, and it makes it that
yeah,
much better. But yeah, I mean, those scenes are impactful to a T. And even the scenes that are not violent, even the scenes where they're just talking to each other, like Michael and Kay, for instance, or even
yeah,
Johnny, coming in with Fredo in Vegas at the end, like where they
yep,
just make
yep,
a guest appearance. There's just something to those scenes that are still very good. And there's just something
yeah.
that makes you anticipate something bad about to happen.
Yeah, they connect these characters back because Johnny was in the beginning at the wedding, and then you see him again in Vegas, and they kind of you see you know his progress in his career with that Hollywood studio, the director, the horse
Oh
head, and all
yeah,
that.
and the
So
horse
I mean,
head,
this
the
is
horse
the
head. We
horse
forgot about
head
the horse
scene right
head.
there.
That's in the beginning
I
of the
mean,
film, I think.
yeah, yeah. After because he needed, they were trying to. So yeah, Johnny was in the beginning at the wedding, and trying to get his career back on track. And Don Vito's like, I'll take care of it for you. And he's like, but the filming starts in a week or in a month or something. And he's like, don't worry,
It's a
I'll
week.
make him an offer he can't refuse.
I'll make him an offer he can't refuse.
And of course, the guy is, like, no, it's not going to happen. And he's not a fan. And he has his reasons. And Tom Hagen even tries to go again, convince him, and they have dinner, and he throws him out. He's like, "Get out!" But it's like, okay,
Oh, not be bullied. Sorry about your $600,000 price horse, though.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a real horse head that they got.
Yeah, that's a crazy story. Yeah,
Yeah,
they were very particular about it being a real horse head.
yeah,
I mean, and they had the actor there all day filming. Again, the thing with Coppola is that he was relentless, and I give him a lot of credit for
yeah,
that. He was just like, even if it was just a scene or two, it's just like, we need as much footage as possible. We need you to be as uncomfortable as possible. We want you to be as intense as possible. Otherwise, the scene will not work. You
yeah,
could feel, if you see or read the behind the scenes and you watch these scenes, you could feel Coppola behind the camera being like, you need to be more intense. Otherwise it will not work. You can almost hear him shouting in your ear. And that,
yeah.
it really worked. These scenes are much better because of it.
As opposed to George Lucas, who's like, faster, more intense.
Come on, guys, can you go and do it better? It's amazing how that film worked out,
Yeah,
different directing styles, I swear. But
yeah.
it's
But I mean,
amazing.
yeah,
It's amazing how he was his protege and that's his directing style,
right. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's this. I mean, so many scenes. I'm looking. What's his name? Tomasino. We didn't even mention Italy. So,
Yeah, I
Tomasino in
know.
Italy when he's telling Michael that Sonny's dead, and this is while he's teaching Apollina how to drive, and she's talking the horn like, "Come on," and he just found out his brother's killed, and I mean that whole segment and the whole Italy is, I mean, just incredible. And
Yeah, I
Michael
know.
ultimately realizes that there's no escape, even though he's in Italy to escape temporarily, and
Yeah, no,
you know,
they're still hunting for him.
yeah, I mean, he'd already taken these steps from passive outsider to a new role, which is why he got sent to Italy after the
After he shot
killing
them, Saluzzo and
Saluzzo and
McCluskey.
yeah, and but then now it's like, okay, now it's time to take control of his destiny, kind of thing, and that really is when you know. So, yeah, I mean, so many scenes. I did notice one thing. It's interesting. I don't think there's any real significance to it. It's just something I noticed, and at Vito's funeral, you see that really good shot of all the drivers opening the back of the doors of the cars so people can get out,
Hmm.
and only one driver who's kind of in the middle of the camera. Only that one driver quietly closes the door. Not that the rest of them all slam the door, but it's much louder. That one driver is the only one for whatever reason, quietly closes the door and and takes that effort. So it's something I never really thought about much, but I don't know. It's just something that I noticed.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's one of those things where it can add to the mythology of the film, I guess. You can infer so much from little actions like that.
Yeah, was it a respect thing? Did he close the door? I don't know. Maybe the driver just decided to do that. I don't know, but
I think that's the actual reason, but who knows?
I think so.
Yeah, but other
Yeah,
big things too is the wedding scene was huge. There were so
yeah,
many extras in that scene alone,
yeah,
and they
yeah.
really made a big effort. To be like, listen, this is in the book. We got to make this as extravagant of an Italian wedding as possible. And what do you know? Real mobsters were extras in the scenes too.
Yeah, yeah,
So
correct.
they spared no expense and they had fun. And as a matter of fact, the actors had a lot of fun making this film. The ones making the picture did not. They were constantly shouting and arguing with each other.
Mm,
It was just a hell to shoot if you were the one in charge, I guess. But if you're just an actor, yeah, you're having the time of your life. You're eating good Italian food, drinking good Italian wine,
yeah.
chilling in your trailer a lot. I mean, Marlon Brando had a good time on this. The thing that he didn't enjoy was getting stiff with his pay.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because evidently, he did the role and he did it on strict stipulations. He had to put up $1 million to not screw up the production. And he was
yeah.
only paid like X amount of dollars. But he also had like a lot of points. But here's the kicker. When the film was done, he had to pay his taxes. He owed like I think over 100 grand or something like that. So he was just like, listen,
Mhm.
I need an advance. And in exchange, just I'll forfeit my points in exchange for the money up front. He was screwed out of I think 50 to 80 million dollars in residuals because of how big this film was, ultimately ended up being. I think it was the top grossing film of all time up to this point.
Yeah,
Yeah, that pissed him off. He fired everyone as a result, Marlon Brando,
yeah, yeah.
and that pretty much played a part of him not returning in Godfather Part 2.
Part two. Yeah,
Yeah, which we'll get into eventually.
soon, very
Soon,
soon.
very soon.
But yeah, I mean, this movie is just great. I mean, it's as they say, the study of the underbelly of the American dream, right? And a lot of these type of movies we've seen, these crime dramas, it's kind of the usual stuff, and which is part of the reason why I think these type of films were becoming less popular, not doing as well, and so this movie really did change the landscape of it.
It
I
really
mean,
did. Yeah,
incorporating just the loyalty, betrayal, love, family, corruption. It just went so much deeper than your usual crime dramas, right? The scope, larger scope, and elevated that genre to a new crazy height. And so,
yeah.
I mean,
The whole genre was redefined by this film, and honestly,
yeah, everything else was redundant and pulpy, and people were tired of it, right?
it was
So,
very cartoony. It was like Dick Tracy style, like, "Hey, you see, we're
yeah,
gonna go over there, see, and we're gonna riddle you with
exactly.
bullets and whatever." And it's just like, yeah, I mean, there's a place for those films too. It's not like that stuff is not good. I mean, it's entertaining in its own right. But this one took that stereotype and, as you mentioned, elevated it, and it just made it more authentic because it humanized these characters. And that's the thing that's interesting, and that's why the biggest parallel for with this film is with Gone with the Wind.
Yeah,
In the sense where they're big, sweeping epics, they deal with a crooked cast of characters. And there's a lot to be said with how terrible these people are, but how interesting and fascinating they are at the same time, you know? Like you
Yeah,
can't help but relate to them on some level, even if you can't relate to a lot of the terrible things they end up doing to other people.
yeah. Well, the difference between something like this and something like The Sopranos, where like Sopranos, everyone is deplorable, even some of the quote civilians, and or even some of the family members of the criminals. But in this movie, you don't really see that many civilians, right? Because it's most of the movies revolving around, the crime family
Yeah,
and
it's
all
gang on
the
gang
different.
violence.
It's very different than a lot of other films that incorporate a lot of the rest of society, the rest of the town or whatever village, and so this one really focuses more on the family and the crime family and the other five families, and
Yeah, it's
so
concentrated within that group. So yeah, so
yeah,
so a lot of the kills feel justified in that sense. It's not like innocent civilians are caught in the crossfire or anything like that. But
yeah,
so I feel like it's
yeah.
a little easier to empathize with them. But at the same time, these are not good people, especially when you read the
Of course
book.
not him.
Yeah, but there's a story with Luca Brasi in particular that's really, really dark.
Mm.
Like in the beginning of the book, like Michael asks Tom, like, listen, what's this whole thing with Luca Brasi? What's the backstory? How did he come to work with my father? And Tom Hagen's like, I'll tell you when you're older. And Michael at this point is like in his 20s. He's like, well, how much older do I need to be? And then Tom is like, till you're 100. And you're just like, what exactly did this guy do? But when Michael's in Italy, he asks someone there because they knew Luca Brasi at that time before he got into the Don's business. And like,
Mm.
what's the story that I'm not told about? And then you find out what the story is, and you're like, holy shit. And then Michael's like, yeah, I could see why they didn't want to tell me about this story. This is too much.
Mm.
And as a matter of fact, usually I spoil things a lot, especially when it comes to the book or the movies. I'm not going to spoil that. I recommend you guys read the book and find out what Luca Brasi did. It's really, really dark. I'm just going to say that.
Okay. Even I don't know specifically. I just know from the movie, and then they mention what he did. As an enforcer, there's one mention of it in the beginning, and then that's it. So even
Yeah,
I don't even know.
I don't think they go into detail at all. But anyway, I mean, like, it's there's so many layers in the film and the book. It's just like like we were mentioning, it does redefine the gangster genre. It elevates it. And whenever you think of a gangster movie, this is really the movie that people think about. They think about this one. They think about Goodfellas. They think about The Untouchables. But The
Yeah,
Godfather's at the tippy top when it comes to that.
yeah. We didn't even bring up the ending. I mean, we could just talk about the ending for a half hour. No,
Let's do it.
I mean,
Let's do it.
epic ending, right? Just basically, I mean, everyone knows Michael just takes out everybody. The head of the five families.
Oh yeah, he's
And
just like,
and Mo Green.
they're gonna kill us anyway. We might as well take them out first. It's pretty brilliant. And
Yeah,
I don't know if
perfectly timed executions,
I
the
don't know if
planning, the
it's
scope.
exactly. I don't know if it's in the film. I don't remember, but in the book, it's actually the Don's plan. Because the whole thing is that there's a big scene prior where the Don, while he's still alive, he dies of a heart attack later in the film and in the book.
Yeah,
But prior to that, he meets with the five families and he's just like, come on, guys, let's get together. Let's be friends. I won't, you kill my son, but I kill your son. Let's just patch it up and pretend it never happened, right? So because he wants to keep the peace. However, simmering underneath all that whole thing, he has a plan of action and he knows that Michael's is going to go ahead and execute it. And it's that very plan of executing all the families because he knows even when he's gone, his family's not safe. So this ensures the safety of his family.
yeah,
And
yeah. The movie doesn't go into all those details because the meeting. I mean, basically, as we know, Sollozzo and Tattaglia family attempt to assassinate Vito, and Corleone's kill Tattaglia's son. I think his name was Bruno, and
yeah.
then they respond by declaring war and killing Sonny with Carlos's help, and then back and forth. It doesn't really go anywhere. It's deadlock or stalemate,
Mhm.
and more or less. And then eventually Vito's back, and then he calls. That's where the sit down is. Calls for the families to meet and says, no more fighting. Let's end this, and so we don't know anything more than that. So in the novel, they must be going to more details
It
because we
does.
just know that Michael is the one who sets it up. At that point, he's the Don pretty much, and so
Yeah, which is the
this
role.
massive simultaneous assassination at the very end.
Yeah, and
So
it's a role that he didn't want to get into in the first place. He wanted to stay away from the family business, but he has no choice, especially after the death of his brother Sonny.
Yeah. I mean, it even changed before that. Things were starting to change anyways, even with the attempted assassination. He slowly is getting in. And so it would have been cool to see a scene in the movie of them planning that simultaneous assassination at the end. Um, it just happens, and we don't really get to see a scene of them planning it or whatever, orchestrating it. I guess in this, you mentioned that in the novel, I guess they do go into detail, but
Yeah, well, it's not
I
that
mean, but well,
massive. It's not that massive.
yeah,
In the book, you just know that the
yeah.
Don planned it, and you know there's a build up to something, and then it happens, and then that's when you
Oh,
realize
okay.
after the fact, like, oh, that's exactly what happened. So
Yeah,
it's
it would
still
have been
more.
cool to see that here, but it's a 3 hour movie, so you can't get everything you want.
It's amazing how
But
much they fit in the final film because a lot of I felt like it was almost a 1-to-1 comparison between what they
yeah,
adapted from the book, even though that's probably not true. There is quite a lot they did take out and didn't go into in such extreme detail, but it's
mhm,
pretty full. It's not like Gone with the Wind, where I read the book and I saw the film and I'm all like, man, they took out a lot of stuff in the film. They really sped things through. Like it really felt rushed.
yeah,
Godfather, it didn't feel rushed. It felt like they got enough out of the book that they needed to tell the story correctly. And
yeah.
as a result, I feel like because of that, this is probably the best adapted work so far in the series. So, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as far as the ending, I mean, as we said, I mean, the ending is awesome, super epic. Michael's training is complete. He's now a Sith Lord. I mean, Don.
Yeah, basically.
So, and then the door closing on Kay, and she knows exactly who Michael is now. This is it. The young, quiet, passive war hero. He was going to, like you said, he was going to go do other things outside of the family business, be a politician or whatever. That's gone. He is the Don now, and that's how the movie ends. And in fact, he's finally addressed as the Don, I think, by Clemenza,
Yeah.
and for the first time, and so she knows she's on the outside now and looking in, literally in this case too.
Yeah.
And and the door closes, and
It's more or
I mean,
less,
damn,
it's
that's a
more,
character arc for you, man.
it's also more or less the same ending in the book. However, there's an extra chapter afterwards. It's an
Oh wow,
epilogue.
okay.
And again, I'm not going to spoil it. I'm just going to say it gives more in depth of what happens to the characters after the climatic scene with all the assassination happening.
Yeah, a lot of assassinations, and then all these. I mean, obviously one of the themes, loyalty and family corruption, betrayal is a big part of it, right? So, but
Yeah.
everyone who betrayed the Corleones, you know, gets killed. Whether it's Paulie, what's his name, Gazzo, the Don's driver and the bodyguard who was conveniently ill all week, right?
Yeah.
And then
Happened to not
and
be
because
there when the Don got shot. Hmm.
yeah, Fredo is the one who had to drive
Yeah, the worst son.
drive him around
The
and
weakest
drops the
son.
gun and drops the gun, and it's like, so he's sick now. They don't say in the movie, they suspect it's either Paulie, the Don's driver and bodyguard, or it's Clemenza. Clemenza gets blamed more than once, but he's actually one of the most loyal. But there's a deleted scene where they find out Paulie at home was getting calls from a payphone every day during that week. So
Yeah.
they put two and two together, and so you see him get killed, and that's the scene where Clemenza shoots him, and or Clemenza gets out of the car to piss, and then they shoot Paulie, and he's like, leave the gun, take the cannoli,
Yeah,
and then
that's a reoccurring thing too.
you got Carlo, of course, Michael's brother-in-law, Connie's husband, and who set up
Or Rizzi,
worked
Carlo
with
Rizzi.
Barzini, Carlo Rizzo, I think, right? And
No, it's Rizzi. Rizzo's
it's
from
Rizzi.
Midnight Cowboy.
Oh,
I know it's easy to confuse the two.
yeah, but he sets up Sonny to be murdered, works with Barzini on that. And then, of course, he's brutally strangled at the end.
Yeah.
And then the shocking one was Tessio, who's also a capo like Clemenza, betrayed the family, which obviously an important part of the movie. Vito warns Michael that somebody would betray them, someone within, and they would come to him and try to set up a meet and guarantee his safety and everything, and then they assassinate him.
Yeah.
And so
He plays the Judas role effectively.
yeah, and that was the case after the funeral because Tessio was the one who approached Michael because he was talking to Barzini, and so who else betrays Fabrizio? That was his name, right? In Italy, that was his bodyguard. Blew up the car that killed Apollonia.
Did we ever find out
Uh,
what happened to that guy afterwards?
you don't find out in this movie, but you do find out in a deleted scene in Godfather 2.
Okay. I'm just gonna say
So,
you find out in the book.
oh, okay, yeah,
So.
yeah. In Godfather 2, you find out
Ah,
he makes his way to the U.S. and
yes.
so,
Okay, we'll leave it at that. But
we'll leave it at that. And then obviously we already mentioned the Turk Sollozzo. Obviously, was the big narcotic guy, and approached Don for help, and then the restaurant scene. So I mean, but anyways, yeah, I mean, this movie is just awesome. One of my favorites. Yeah, it's a big list of favorite movies, but it's up there. I mean, 3 hours of just awesomeness. The story, the score, the acting, the design, everything just on point. Even in the first 45 minutes of the movie, you get this big wedding, this party, great dialogue, great introduction to the players of the story, idea of the structure of what's going on. You get this ruse with Luca Brasi, which fails. You get an assassination attempt of the Don, and it's Christmas time. Ho ho ho! Pow pow pow! This is all in the first 45 minutes, man.
there you go.
So
Yeah,
freaking awesome.
There's a lot to
I would have been
digest.
fine with this movie being 4 hours, to be honest. But that's just me.
For yeah, you know what? Weirdly enough, I probably would have agreed to that because of all the cool stuff that's in the book that did not make it into the film.
Yeah. This is the only movie we've done for this series that I'm like, more, I say.
More. Yeah,
Hopefully there's a part two. And
I mean, like, yeah, I mean, you kind of feel like you're one in the family when you watch this film, where you're just like, you're part of this big family and they're guiding you through their operation. So that's just a special thing about this film, too. Yeah, so I mean, as I mentioned at the very beginning of this podcast, yeah, I wasn't impressed with it the first time I saw it. I was maybe a little more lenient the second time. But as I mentioned, after consuming everything about this film and the behind the scenes and all that stuff, I have a more favorable impression on the film as a result. So the first time around, I would have given it maybe a 6 out of 10, I think.
Oof.
Second time, I gave it maybe a 6.5 out of 10. Just like, just a little bit better. I like some of the scenes and whatever. Now I think I'm more comfortable giving this a 7.5 out of 10, probably close to an 8, honestly. I just, just understanding everything that went into the film and the making and consuming everything about the world that these mobsters live in, it's just more relevant. Maybe because I'm older too. I was a young guy when I saw the films originally and I didn't quite get it. Now as an older man, I'm just like, what? I understand this film more. I understand everything surrounding it. So that's my final rating, 7.5.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, this movie's absolutely brilliant. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. Awesome movie. I'll probably watch it again next year, and I've seen it a dozen times, and I'll keep watching it until I'm dead. There's a lot of movies I watch, every year, every couple years, and there's like at least 10 or 20 movies I watch, and that I like to keep watching. Half of those are horror movies, but this is one of those movies that I could watch at any time.
Technically, you could say this is a horror movie too. A lot of horrible things happen.
Yeah. So 9 out of 10. Capiche?
I think this is the highest rating you ever gave a movie to date, I think, in this series.
I think so, yeah.
So yeah, it's
the best. It's the best movie we've covered in this series, in my opinion, so far.
Yeah, I think I don't know, at the top of my head, maybe it's definitely up there. I mean, like I said, 7.5 is not as high as yours, but it's very generous compared to the other films that I've seen, and I'm just like, what is this? Even Gone with the Wind, I'm just like, really? What is this? But
that important distinction is, like when I was saying, all the other movies that are 3 hours, 3.5, those movies we've covered way too long. They're like, when is this over?
Yeah, exactly.
This one, we both agree. I would have been perfectly fine if it was longer, even another hour.
Yeah, exactly. Like, especially
That's
like,
great.
Especially the third time for me, it's just like, what? I was really invested. My partner really enjoyed it too. She'd never seen this film before. And by the time we finished, we grade things out of a 5-star scale.
Okay.
And I was like, what do you think? 5 stars out of 5 stars. This is a perfect movie. And I was like,
how
wow.
About? Very good.
She's like in her 30s, so early 30s. So I mean, like, this is just one of those films that does wonders on people that watch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Great movie. If anybody out there listening hasn't seen it, I mean, what are you doing? You got to go see it.
Exactly.
Watch it now.
So
go ahead, watch it. I'll even share my Paramount subscription with you. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, here's the thing. I definitely watch the movies. If you guys haven't, definitely read the book. You haven't read the book, I recommend you, Mr. Moose, read the book.
I got to check it out. Yeah.
You will love the book. You love the movies, man. You're obsessed with the movies more so than I am. You're going to love the book. I guarantee you.
Yeah, I really should with Coppola, especially because, I mean, my favorite movie he's done is actually Apocalypse Now. I'm a huge Godfather fan as well, obviously, but Apocalypse Now is my favorite, and so and a Heart of Darkness I have in my collection in my library. So
Just don't watch
yeah,
Megalopolis. That movie
I should
sucks.
buy this. Yeah, I might honestly, I might watch it at some point just to see it. Yeah,
I was very unfortunate to watch that in theaters. It was terrible.
yeah, I wasn't gonna go see it in theater, but yeah, that's unfortunate because he's a great filmmaker. But
He's
he's
got
to
his
make the movie
place.
he wanted. So
Yeah, I mean, I give him credit for that. I mean, he was relentless. He'd been trying to make that movie since the 70s or the 80s or something crazy like that. So
yeah.
all right, guys, and that is The Godfather. So stay tuned for the next one. It's about, I don't know, a hustler or something. I don't know. I haven't seen the film, so I don't know.
And as always, don't forget to like and comment, subscribe, all that. Let us know what you think about The Godfather. I know there's a bunch of y'all who are fans of this movie, so let us know what you think. Until then, take care.
And you better do it, or else we're going to send someone who's going to go there and make you an offer to break your legs if you don't.
Forget about it.
Forget about it.